Tangled is a 2010 American animated musical adventure film produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios. Loosely inspired by the German fairy tale Rapunzel, the movie tells the story of Rapunzel, a young woman with extraordinarily long magical hair who has spent almost her entire life isolated in a hidden tower. Her world changes when Flynn Rider, a charming but wanted thief, unexpectedly enters her life. Their meeting begins an adventure that takes Rapunzel outside the tower for the first time and ultimately leads her to discover the truth about her identity, her family, and the woman who raised her. The story begins with a mysterious magical flower. Long before Rapunzel is born, an old woman named Mother Gothel discovers a rare golden flower with extraordinary healing powers. According to the story, the flower possesses the ability to restore youth. Gothel uses its power to keep herself young for many years. However, the flower is eventually discovered by the kingdom, whose pregnant queen is seriously ill. The kingdom's soldiers search for a cure and find the magical flower. They use it to save the queen, and its power is transferred to the unborn child. The queen gives birth to a baby girl named Rapunzel. The newborn princess has beautiful golden hair containing the magical properties of the flower. When Rapunzel's hair is cut, however, it loses its magical power and turns brown. Mother Gothel realizes that the child's hair can provide the same rejuvenating effect as the flower. She becomes obsessed with possessing Rapunzel and secretly kidnaps the baby. Gothel takes Rapunzel to a secluded tower deep within the forest. She raises the child as though she were her own daughter, but her love is manipulative rather than genuinely maternal. Gothel knows that if Rapunzel ever leaves the tower, she may lose access to the magical hair that keeps her young. Consequently, she convinces Rapunzel that the outside world is dangerous and that she must remain inside the tower for her own protection. Years pass, and Rapunzel grows into a teenager. She becomes intelligent, artistic, curious, and energetic, but she has never experienced the outside world. Her only regular companion is a small chameleon named Pascal. Pascal is Rapunzel's closest friend and provides emotional support during her isolated childhood. Although Rapunzel loves Gothel, she increasingly questions why she is not allowed to leave the tower. She can see the world outside through the windows, but she has no idea what it is really like. One of the most important things she notices every year is a mysterious event in the distant kingdom. Thousands of floating lanterns are released into the night sky on the same day every year. Rapunzel becomes fascinated by these lanterns. She wants to see them in person, but Gothel repeatedly refuses. To Rapunzel, the lanterns represent something mysterious and beautiful. She cannot understand why the event is so important to her emotionally, but the audience gradually learns that the lantern tradition has a connection to her forgotten royal identity. As Rapunzel's 18th birthday approaches, she finally decides that she wants to see the lanterns. She asks Gothel for permission to leave the tower, but Gothel refuses and attempts to discourage her by emphasizing how dangerous the outside world supposedly is. Rapunzel becomes increasingly frustrated. At the same time, another character enters the story, Flynn Rider. Flynn is a thief and adventurer who steals a valuable royal crown along with two criminal associates, the Stabbington brothers. After betraying them and escaping with the crown, Flynn searches for a place to hide. While running from the authorities, he discovers Rapunzel's tower. Flynn climbs into the tower expecting it to be empty. Instead, he finds Rapunzel waiting inside. Rapunzel has never met a stranger like Flynn, and she does not know what to make of him. She reacts quickly and knocks him unconscious with a frying pan. Rapunzel then hides Flynn's stolen satchel, which contains the crown. When Flynn wakes up, Rapunzel refuses to let him leave. She realizes that he might be useful to her because he knows the outside world. She makes a deal with him. If he takes her to see the lanterns and safely brings her back to the tower, she will return his satchel. This agreement becomes the beginning of their journey. Flynn initially sees Rapunzel as an inconvenience. He is mainly interested in getting his stolen treasure back and escaping the authorities. Rapunzel, however, is thrilled by the possibility of finally experiencing freedom. She climbs down from the tower using her enormous hair and begins her first adventure. her emotions are complicated. She is excited to be outside, but she also feels guilty because she believes she is disobeying God. One moment she celebrates her freedom, and the next she worries that she has made a terrible mistake. This emotional conflict is expressed humorously, but also becomes an important part of her character development. Flynn takes Rapunzel toward the kingdom, but their journey is interrupted by the authorities and by Flynn's former criminal partners. The pair eventually hide in a tavern called the Snuggly Duckling, where they encounter a group of rough-looking criminals. Rapunzel initially fears them, but she soon discovers that they have dreams and ambitions of their own. This scene is important because it challenges her understanding of the outside world. Gothel has taught Rapunzel that strangers are dangerous, yet some of the people she meets are kind and supportive. The world is not as simple as Gothel has made her believe. Meanwhile, a royal horse named Maximus is pursuing Flynn. Maximus is determined to capture him because Flynn is a wanted thief. The horse behaves almost like a law enforcement officer, and his rivalry with Flynn becomes one of the film's major sources of comedy. Rapunzel and Flynn eventually continue their journey. Their relationship gradually changes from mutual distrust into friendship and then something deeper. Flynn is initially arrogant and self-centered, but Rapunzel's optimism and sincerity influence him. Rapunzel, meanwhile, becomes more confident as she discovers that she can make her own decisions. Meanwhile, Flynn's feelings for Rapunzel have become genuine. He is no longer interested in the crown or his own reputation. He cares about Rapunzel's safety and freedom. The conflict reaches its climax when Gothel attempts to maintain control over Rapunzel. Flynn is captured and injured, while Rapunzel is forced into a situation where she must choose between returning to the life she knew and fighting for her freedom. Gothel uses Rapunzel's magical hair as a means of maintaining control. Rapunzel realizes that the only way to destroy Gothel's power is to prevent her from continuing to use the hair. Flynn makes a desperate attempt to save Rapunzel. He knows that if her hair remains intact, Gothel will continue exploiting her. He therefore cuts Rapunzel's hair, sacrificing himself in the process. Once her hair is cut, its magical power disappears. Gothel suddenly loses the ability to remain young. She rapidly ages, and her entire plan collapses. However, Flynn has been seriously wounded. Rapunzel tries to save him with the last remaining trace of magical power, but her healing ability is gone. Flynn understands that she cannot save him through magic anymore. Rapunzel is devastated because she has finally found someone she truly loves, only to believe that she is about to lose him. The emotional climax comes when Flynn reveals how much Rapunzel means to him. Rapunzel's tears fall onto him, and a final fragment of magical power remains within one of her tears. The magic heals Flynn and saves his life. This moment completes the emotional journey of the story. The magical power that originally represented Gothel's selfish desire for eternal youth is transformed into something connected with love, sacrifice, and freedom. After escaping Gothel's control, Rapunzel returns to the kingdom. Her parents recognize her through the symbols and memories associated with the lost princess. She is finally reunited with the royal family. The reunion is one of the most emotional moments in the movie. Rapunzel has spent her entire childhood believing that she was an ordinary girl whose only family was Mother Gothel. She now discovers that she has parents who never stopped loving her and never stopped searching for her. The kingdom celebrates her return, and Rapunzel finally experiences the life she always dreamed of. The lanterns that once represented a mysterious longing now have a completely different meaning. They're connected to her own family and history. Flynn also undergoes a major transformation. At the beginning of the story, he presents himself as a confident thief named Flynn Rider. He uses charm and humor to avoid emotional vulnerability. By the end, he becomes more honest about his feelings and chooses Rapunzel over wealth and personal safety. Interestingly, Flynn's character development is also reflected in his identity. His real name is Eugene Fitzherbert, and he adopted the name Flynn Rider as part of creating a new identity for himself. Rapunzel helps him understand that he does not need to pretend to be someone else to be valued. Rapunzel's development is even more significant. At the beginning, she is curious but sheltered. She has dreams, but is afraid to pursue them because Gothel has taught her to fear the outside world. During the journey, Rapunzel discovers that she can make decisions independently. She learns that strangers are not automatically dangerous, that the world contains both good and bad people, and that she can survive outside the tower. Most importantly, she learns to trust herself. The tower itself becomes a powerful symbol throughout the movie. At the beginning, it represents safety, but also imprisonment. Rapunzel has food, clothing, art supplies, and a comfortable home, yet she has no freedom. By the end, the tower's meaning has completely changed. It is no longer her home because she has discovered where she truly belongs. Mother Gothel is also important to the film's central message. She claims to love Rapunzel, but her behavior demonstrates that love without freedom is not genuine love. Gothel controls Rapunzel, manipulates her fears, isolates her from other people, and uses her magical ability for selfish reasons. The movie therefore contrasts Gothel's possessive relationship with Rapunzel's relationship with Flynn. Flynn allows Rapunzel to make choices. He does not demand that she remain dependent on him. Their relationship develops because they gradually learn to trust and respect each other. The lanterns are another important symbol. At first, Rapunzel sees them as a mysterious event that represents a dream she cannot explain. Later, she discovers that the lanterns are connected to the royal family's hope of finding their lost daughter. After her return, the lanterns become a symbol of belonging. What began as an unexplained fascination becomes a connection between Rapunzel and her family. The film's ending therefore resolves several different storylines at once. Rapunzel is reunited with her biological parents. Gothel is defeated. Flynn survives. Maximus becomes part of the group, and the kingdom celebrates the return of its princess. The conclusion is happy, but it also reflects the personal transformation that occurred during the adventure. Rapunzel does not simply move from one home to another. She moves from a life controlled by fear to a life guided by her own choices. The relationship between Rapunzel and Flynn also reaches its natural conclusion. They have changed each other. Rapunzel gives Flynn a reason to become more honest and selfless, while Flynn helps Rapunzel discover the courage to leave the tower and experience life for herself. Ultimately, Tangled is much more than a simple retelling of the Rapunzel fairy tale. Its central story is about freedom, identity, manipulation, family, courage, and self-discovery. Rapunzel's magical hair is important to the plot, but the real transformation occurs within Rapunzel herself. At the beginning, she believes her world ends at the walls of the tower. By the end, she understands that the tower was never the boundary of her world. It was the boundary imposed on her by someone else. Her journey demonstrates that growing up sometimes requires questioning the beliefs that have been given to us. Rapunzel has been taught that she is weak, inexperienced, and incapable of surviving outside the tower. Through her adventure, she discovers that these beliefs are false. Flynn's journey complements hers. He begins as someone who hides behind a false identity and pretends that nothing matters to him. Through his relationship with Rapunzel, he discovers that genuine connection and sacrifice are more valuable than money or reputation. The final message of Tangled is therefore about choosing one's own life. Rapunzel does not merely escape from a physical tower. She escapes from the psychological control that Gothel has maintained over her for 18 years. Her reunion with her parents symbolizes the restoration of the identity that was stolen from her as a baby. Her relationship with Flynn represents the future she chooses for herself. The lanterns represent the family and belonging she always subconsciously desired. The story concludes with Rapunzel finally living the life that she had imagined from inside her tower. She can explore the world, meet people, make decisions, and be surrounded by people who genuinely care about her. In the end, Tangled turns the classic Rapunzel story into a modern coming-of-age adventure. Its plot moves from a magical origin story to a tale of kidnapping, isolation, escape, discovery, romance, and family reunion. The tower, the magical hair, the lanterns, Flynn's stolen crown, and Gothel's obsession all eventually connect to the same central idea. Rapunzel must discover who she really is before she can truly become free. The final resolution is satisfying because Rapunzel does not simply defeat a villain. She discovers her identity, reconnects with her real family, finds love, and gains independence. Her adventure transforms her from a lonely young woman trapped in a tower into a confident princess capable of choosing her own future. That transformation is the heart of Tangled, and the reason the film's ending feels like a genuine emotional conclusion rather than simply the end of an adventure. Because the movie is animated, the actors never appear physically on screen as their characters. Instead, their voices, performances, timing, emotional expressions, and personalities provide the foundation for the characters that audiences see. The principal cast includes Mandy Moore as Rapunzel, Zachary Levi as Flynn Rider, Donna Murphy as Mother Got Hell, Ron Perlman as the Stabbington brother, MC Gainey as the captain of the guard, Jeffrey Tambor as Big Nose, Richard Keel as Vlad, Brad Garrett as Hook Hand, Paul F. Tompkins as Shorty, and Alan Menken and Glenn Slater as contributors to the film's musical identity. The supporting animal characters Pascal and Maximus are also extremely important, even though they communicate primarily without conventional dialogue. The central performance belongs to Mandy Moore, who provides the voice of Rapunzel. Rapunzel is the emotional heart of Tangled, and Moore's performance has to communicate a huge range of emotions. At the beginning of the film, Rapunzel is an 18-year-old young woman who has spent almost her entire life inside a tower. She is intelligent and creative, but she is also inexperienced and uncertain because Mother Got Hell has prevented her from experiencing normal life. Moore captures this combination very effectively. Her voice sounds youthful and energetic when Rapunzel is excited, but it can also become hesitant and nervous when she begins to question the beliefs that have controlled her life. One of the most important aspects of Moore's work is her ability to make Rapunzel sound optimistic without making her seem naive in an irritating way. Rapunzel is curious about everything. She paints, reads, plays music, cooks, cleans, studies her surroundings, and dreams about the mysterious lanterns that appear every year. Moore gives these interests a sense of genuine enthusiasm. When Rapunzel finally leaves the tower, her excitement becomes one of the film's strongest sources of comedy and emotion. Moore also handles Rapunzel's emotional conflict extremely well. After leaving the tower, Rapunzel experiences happiness and guilt almost simultaneously. She is thrilled that she is finally free, but she is also terrified because she has been taught that the outside world is dangerous. Moore's performance allows these contradictory emotions to exist together. Rapunzel can be laughing one moment and worrying that she has made a terrible mistake the next. Another major part of Mandy Moore's contribution is her singing. Rapunzel has several musical moments, and the songs help communicate feelings that ordinary dialogue cannot fully express. Moore's voice gives Rapunzel's musical numbers a youthful, sincere quality. Her performance in songs such as When Will My Life Begin expresses Rapunzel's desire for something beyond the limited existence imposed on her. Later, the emotional meaning of the songs changes as Rapunzel discovers what she truly wants. The second major performer is Zachary Levi, who voices Flynn Rider. Flynn is very different from Rapunzel. He enters the story as a thief who is confident, sarcastic, charming, and apparently concerned mostly with himself. Levi gives him a relaxed, comic personality that immediately distinguishes him from the more innocent Rapunzel. That Flynn's character is essentially built around a performance within a performance. He presents himself as a sophisticated adventurer named Flynn Rider, but his real name is Eugene Fitzherbert. His exaggerated confidence is partly a way of hiding his insecurities. Levi's voice captures that distinction. Flynn often speaks with humorous confidence, but there are moments when his voice becomes more sincere and vulnerable. The chemistry between Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi is one of the greatest strengths of Tangled. Their characters begin as unwilling partners. Rapunzel needs Flynn to guide her into the outside world, while Flynn needs Rapunzel to return his stolen satchel. Neither initially trusts the other. Their conversations gradually become more relaxed, however, and the humor slowly develops into genuine affection. Levi is particularly effective at Flynn's comedic timing. Flynn's singing performance is another important part of his role. His duet with Rapunzel helps transform their relationship from an accidental partnership into a romantic connection. Levi's voice works well alongside Moore's because Flynn's singing has a slightly more mature and confident quality, complementing Rapunzel's youthful sound. The third major performer is Donna Murphy, who voices Mother Gothel. Gothel is the principal antagonist of the movie, and Murphy gives her a particularly distinctive personality. Unlike a traditionally frightening villain who constantly behaves in an obviously evil way, Gothel often acts charming, humorous, affectionate, and even motherly. This makes her manipulation more effective. She calls Rapunzel her daughter and sometimes appears genuinely affectionate toward her. But the audience gradually understands that her behavior is based on control. Gothel has kidnapped Rapunzel because of the magical properties of her hair, and she wants to preserve her own youth. That Murphy's performance succeeds because she does not play Gothel as a one-dimensional monster. Gothel can be funny, theatrical, irritated, affectionate, and threatening within the same scene. Her personality changes depending on what she needs from Rapunzel. When Rapunzel is obedient, Gothel can act warm and loving. When Rapunzel begins questioning her authority, Gothel becomes manipulative and frightening. The song, Mother Knows Best, is particularly important to Murphy's performance. The song initially sounds like an exaggerated expression of maternal concern, but its lyrics and delivery gradually reveal Gothel's controlling nature. Murphy combines comedy with manipulation, making the song entertaining while also showing how Gothel psychologically limits Rapunzel. Another important member of the cast is Ron Perlman, who provides the voice of one of the Stabbington brothers. Perlman's deep and imposing voice is well suited to a character who functions as a physical threat. The Stabbington brothers are criminals who work with Flynn before he betrays them and escapes with the stolen crown. Perlman's performance does not require a huge amount of dialogue, but his voice gives the character weight. His presence helps establish that Flynn's criminal past is not merely a joke. There are people who genuinely want revenge against him. MC Gainey voices the captain of the guard. His character is a strong example of how Tangled uses visual performance and physical comedy alongside voice acting. The captain rarely speaks, but his authority is immediately clear. Gainey's voice gives him a commanding quality, while his limited dialogue makes his reactions even funnier. The captain's relationship with Maximus is also important. Maximus is technically a horse, but he behaves like an extremely determined police officer. The captain's seriousness contrasts with the chaotic behavior surrounding him, helping create the film's comic atmosphere. Jeffrey Tambor voices Big Nose, one of the criminals encountered in the Snuggly Duckling Tavern. Tambor brings a recognizable comedic personality to the character. Big Nose initially looks intimidating because of his rough appearance, but the film quickly reveals that he is more sentimental and vulnerable than expected. This tavern sequence is important because it challenges Rapunzel's belief that criminals are automatically dangerous. The characters look frightening, but they have dreams and emotional lives of their own. Tambor's performance contributes to this reversal by making Big Nose funny and surprisingly gentle. Brad Garrett voices Hook Hand, another member of the tavern group. Garrett is known for his distinctive deep voice, and that quality is used effectively in Tangled. Hook Hand looks like a stereotypical tough criminal, but the movie repeatedly undermines that appearance with comedy. Pascal is Rapunzel's closest friend during her years of isolation. Because she has no human companion of her own age, Pascal becomes her emotional partner. He listens to her problems, reacts to her decisions, and often expresses skepticism about Flynn. His reactions provide comic relief, but Pascal also represents Rapunzel's emotional independence. He is not controlled by Gothel in the same way Rapunzel is. His skeptical attitude sometimes encourages Rapunzel to question what she has been told. Maximus, the royal horse, is another major non-speaking character. His animation is based heavily on physical acting. Maximus behaves like a relentless law enforcement officer whose mission is to capture Flynn. The humor comes partly from the fact that Maximus is a horse, but behaves like a highly intelligent detective. He is suspicious, stubborn, and extremely determined. His rivalry with Flynn begins as a conflict, but eventually develops into an unlikely friendship. Maximus is also important to Flynn's character development. At first, Flynn sees him as an obstacle. Eventually, however, Maximus becomes an ally who helps Rapunzel and Flynn. The change reflects the broader theme of the movie. Relationships can evolve when people learn to trust each other. The voice cast also benefits from the film's musical team. Although Alan Menken is primarily the composer rather than a screen performer, his music is deeply connected to the actor's work. The songs give Moore, Levi, and Murphy opportunities to express their characters through singing rather than spoken dialogue. Menken's musical style helps define Rapunzel's personality. The songs move between comedy, romantic emotion, personal longing, and dramatic tension. The actors must therefore adjust their performances according to the emotional purpose of each musical number. Glenn Slater, who wrote the lyrics, also plays an important role in shaping the characters. The words of the songs reveal information about the characters' personalities and desires. When Will My Life Begin? Introduces Rapunzel's longing for independence, while Mother Knows Best reveals Gothel's manipulative personality. I've Got a Dream gives the tavern criminals a surprising emotional dimension. Instead of presenting them only as villains or comic thugs, the song reveals that they have ambitions and dreams. This helps the film avoid simplistic character stereotypes. One of the most successful aspects of the cast is therefore the contrast between the characters. Rapunzel is energetic, curious, and innocent. Flynn is sarcastic, confident, and initially selfish. Gothel is manipulative and theatrical. The tavern characters are visually intimidating but emotionally humorous. Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi are particularly important because their performances create the emotional center of the film. Their characters begin the story as strangers who need something from each other. Rapunzel wants freedom and adventure, while Flynn wants his stolen property. Gradually, their relationship becomes based on trust rather than necessity. The actors' performances make that transition believable. Moore allows Rapunzel to remain emotionally open, while Levi gives Flynn a defensive layer that gradually disappears. Their conversations become less about escaping the immediate situation and more about understanding each other. Donna Murphy provides the opposite emotional force. Gothel does not want Rapunzel to become independent. Her entire relationship with Rapunzel is based on maintaining control. Murphy's performance makes that conflict personal because Gothel can sound genuinely affectionate even while manipulating her. This makes the eventual confrontation more powerful. Rapunzel is not simply escaping from a villain she barely knows. She is rejecting the worldview imposed upon her by the person she believed was her mother. The supporting cast ensures that the movie never becomes too heavy. Characters such as Hook Hand, Big Nose, Shorty, Vlad, the Captain, and the animal companions constantly bring humor into the story. Their performances prevent the darker themes of kidnapping, emotional manipulation, and isolation from overwhelming the film's adventurous tone. The casting also helps Tangled achieve a balance between traditional Disney storytelling and modern comedy. The actors do not treat the characters as purely fairy tale figures. They give them contemporary personalities, comic timing, and recognizable emotional reactions. Ultimately, the cast of Tangled works because every major performer contributes something different to the film's tone. Mandy Moore provides Rapunzel with warmth, curiosity, vulnerability, courage, and a strong singing voice. Zachary Levi gives Flynn rider charm, humor, confidence, and emotional growth. Donna Murphy turns Mother Gothel into a memorable villain whose sweetness and cruelty constantly compete with each other. The supporting performers add personality and comic energy. Ron Perlman gives the Stabbington brother a threatening presence. MC Gainey makes the captain authoritative and funny. Jeffrey Tambor brings warmth and comedy to Big Nose. Brad Garrett makes Hook Hand memorable. Paul F. Tompkins gives Shorty his eccentric personality, and Richard Kiel adds a distinctive presence to Vlad. Pascal and Maximus, despite their lack of conventional dialogue, demonstrate how much can be communicated through animation, timing, facial expressions, and physical behavior. Their performances are essential to the film's humor and emotional appeal. Together, the cast creates a world in which characters are allowed to be funny, vulnerable, frightening, affectionate, and ridiculous. That variety is one of the reasons Tangled remains so entertaining. The actors do not merely provide voices for animated drawings. They give the characters individual identities that audiences can recognize immediately. In the end, the greatest achievement of the Tangled cast is that the characters feel emotionally alive. Rapunzel's excitement, Flynn's insecurity, Gothel's manipulation, Maximus's determination, Pascal's loyalty, and the tavern character's unexpected dreams all contribute to a story that is much richer than a simple fairy tale adaptation. The performances give the movie its humor and emotional foundation, while the animation transforms those vocal performances into memorable visual personalities. Tangled succeeds because its cast understands that animated acting requires more than simply reading dialogue. Every pause, laugh, musical phrase, change in tone, and emotional reaction becomes part of the character's identity. Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi especially create a convincing central relationship, while Donna Murphy provides a powerful antagonist, and the supporting cast fills the world with memorable personalities. Together, their work makes Tangled one of Disney's strongest character-driven animated adventures of its era. Although the movie is often described simply as a CGI animated fairy tale, its visual development involved much more than creating three-dimensional characters and environments. The filmmakers deliberately combined the visual language of classic Disney animation with modern computer graphics, creating a film that looks digitally produced while still retaining the warmth, exaggeration, color, lighting, and expressive character design associated with traditional Disney films. The film was directed by Nathan Greno and Byron Howard, with animation and visual development teams working for several years to establish its distinctive appearance. The technical challenge was particularly significant because Tangled contains complicated elements such as Rapunzel's extremely long magical hair, realistic water, large environments, hundreds of floating lanterns, detailed cloth and character movement, atmospheric lighting, and elaborate camera movements. These elements required sophisticated computer-generated techniques while still maintaining the charm and readability of hand-drawn animation. One of the most famous technical achievements in Tangled is Rapunzel's hair. Her hair is approximately 70 feet long in the story, making it one of the most difficult visual elements to create. A real strand of hair behaves in an extremely complicated way, bending, twisting, colliding with other strands, reacting to movement, and responding to gravity. Creating this behavior for a 70-foot animated hairstyle was far more complicated than simply modeling a long object and attaching it to Rapunzel's head. The filmmakers developed specialized systems to control Rapunzel's hair. The hair had to appear physically believable while still behaving according to the needs of animation. If it were simulated completely realistically, it could become difficult to control and might move in ways that distracted the audience. Therefore, the artists needed a balance between physical simulation and artistic direction. Rapunzel's hair is essentially treated as a flexible, dynamic structure. The animators could pose and manipulate it while computer systems helped maintain believable movement. The hair needed to react when Rapunzel walked, jumped, swung, or used it as a rope. It also needed to interact with other characters and objects. One of the major difficulties was preventing the hair from penetrating through Rapunzel's body or surrounding objects. Collision detection was therefore extremely important. When the hair wrapped around something, the computer system had to calculate how it would bend and where it should remain. Artists could then adjust the results to make the movement more visually appealing. The hair also had to communicate emotion. In traditional animation, artists can exaggerate a character's hair to make a pose more expressive. Tangled brings that principle into CGI. Rapunzel's hair is not merely a physical object. It becomes part of her character. It can swing dramatically, wrap around objects, create comic situations, and visually emphasize her movements. Another major CGI challenge was Rapunzel's hair texture. A long mass of golden hair could easily appear like plastic or a solid rope if the surface shading were not carefully designed. The artists therefore worked to create variations in color, highlights, shadows, and translucency. Individual strands do not need to be visible separately in every shot, but the combined effect needed to suggest thousands of fine hairs. Lighting was particularly important. Blonde hair reflects light strongly, and the filmmakers wanted Rapunzel's hair to appear almost luminous when exposed to sunlight. This was especially useful because the magical properties of her hair are central to the story. The lighting system used for Tangled was another major part of its visual identity. Rather than using realistic lighting alone, the filmmakers designed lighting to create a storybook atmosphere. Warm golden colors dominate many scenes, particularly those involving Rapunzel's magical hair and the Lantern Festival. The film uses strong contrasts between warm and cool environments. The tower and forest can sometimes appear mysterious or shadowy, while the kingdom and lantern sequences are filled with warm orange, gold, and amber tones. This color strategy helps communicate emotional changes. The famous lantern sequence is arguably the movie's most recognizable visual achievement. Thousands of glowing lanterns fill the night sky and reflect across the water. Creating this effect required computer graphics, procedural systems, lighting, compositing, and careful artistic direction. Each lantern is a small glowing object, but when thousands are visible simultaneously, the computer must manage enormous amounts of geometry, light, and animation. The filmmakers had to make the lanterns look individually recognizable while also creating a unified visual field. The lanterns also need to move naturally. They rise through the air at different speeds, drift slightly, and create an impression of depth. If every lantern moved identically, the effect would look artificial. Instead, variations in movement, spacing, brightness, and position create a more organic appearance. The lighting from the lanterns was also crucial. Their warm glow illuminates nearby characters and environments. This means the lanterns are not simply bright dots composited into the scene. Their light contributes to the overall atmosphere. The sequence also uses reflections on the water. Water is one of the more complicated elements in computer graphics because it combines surface movement, reflection, refraction, transparency, and lighting. The filmmakers had to create water that looked believable while matching the stylized appearance of the film. The river and lake environments in Tangled were therefore created using sophisticated digital techniques. The water surface contains waves and subtle movement, while reflections respond to the surrounding environment. The lanterns appear as shimmering reflections, helping connect the sky and water into a single visual composition. Another important aspect of Tangled is its environmental design. The kingdom, forest, tower, cliffs, river, caves, and other locations are all computer-generated. The artists had to create environments that felt large and immersive without becoming overly realistic. The tower is particularly important because it is Rapunzel's home and functions as a major recurring location. Its architecture combines fairy tale exaggeration with believable structural details. The surrounding forest gives the tower a sense of isolation. The forest itself required large amounts of digital vegetation. Trees, grass, plants, rocks, and atmospheric elements had to be generated and arranged efficiently. Instead of individually modeling every leaf, artists could use procedural or repeated elements to create large environments. However, repetition can become obvious if everything looks identical. Therefore, digital environments require variations in size, color, rotation, density, and lighting. These variations help make the forest feel natural. The film also uses depth of field and atmospheric perspective to create a cinematic sense of scale. Objects in the foreground are often sharper, while distant trees and landscapes become softer or more subdued. This gives CGI environments a photographic quality without making the movie look like live action. Character animation was another major technical challenge. Unlike realistic CGI films, Tangled needed highly expressive characters. The characters have large eyes, exaggerated facial features, and stylized proportions. Their faces, therefore, could not simply follow realistic human anatomy. The animators developed detailed facial rigs that allowed them to control the characters' eyebrows, eyes, mouths, cheeks, and other facial elements. This gave them the flexibility necessary to create subtle emotional changes. Rapunzel's face is especially expressive. Her eyes can become extremely large when she is excited or frightened, while her mouth and eyebrows communicate subtle changes in emotion. The computer-generated model, therefore, had to be capable of both realistic and exaggerated movement. This is where Tangled differs from purely photorealistic CGI. The objective was not to make Rapunzel look like a real human being. The objective was to make her emotionally believable while retaining a stylized Disney appearance. Flynn Rider's facial animation works similarly. His expressions frequently support his sarcastic personality. Small changes in his eyebrows, eyes, and mouth can communicate amusement, surprise, embarrassment, or fear. Mother Got Hell presented another challenge because her facial performance needed to shift between warmth and menace. Her expressions are often theatrical, but they also need to feel emotionally believable. CGI facial rigs allowed animators to exaggerate her expressions without losing her recognizable appearance. Cloth simulation was another important part of the movie's visual effects. Characters wear clothing that must move with their bodies. Rapunzel's dress, Flynn's clothing, Gothel's costume, and the garments of the supporting characters all require digital simulation or animation. Cloth is complicated because it behaves differently depending on movement. A stationary character produces relatively little movement, while running or jumping creates folds, stretching, and secondary motion. In animated films, cloth cannot simply be simulated without artistic supervision. A physically accurate simulation might produce wrinkles or movements that are technically correct but visually distracting. Animators therefore often adjust the simulation to make it clearer and more appealing. Rapunzel's dress is particularly noticeable because it is part of her silhouette. The skirt must move naturally when she walks, spins, dances, or runs. The animation team needed to maintain both physical credibility and clean character design. Character hair other than Rapunzel's also required digital simulation. Flynn's hair, Gothel's hair, and the hair of supporting characters must respond to movement while maintaining their design shapes. Because these hairstyles are shorter and less complex than Rapunzel's, they are easier to control, but they still require careful modeling and shading. The film's rendering technology was crucial for combining all of these elements. Rendering converts the digital models, textures, lighting, and animation into the final images seen by the audience. Every frame must calculate how light interacts with surfaces, how shadows are formed, how materials appear, and how characters integrate into their environments. Materials are particularly important in CGI. Skin should not look like plastic. Hair should not look like solid rubber. Wood, stone, metal, fabric, water, and glass all need different surface properties. For skin, the filmmakers needed to create a soft appearance with believable light interaction. Modern computer graphics often use techniques that simulate how light penetrates slightly into surfaces such as skin. This helps avoid the hard, artificial appearance associated with older CGI. The movie also makes extensive use of shadows and ambient lighting. Shadows help characters feel connected to their environments. Without proper contact shadows, a character might appear to float above the ground. When Rapunzel walks through the forest, for example, her body must interact visually with the environment. Trees and leaves cast shadows, while sunlight creates changing patterns across the ground and characters. The film's camera work also demonstrates the advantages of computer animation. CGI allows the filmmakers to move virtual cameras through environments in ways that would be difficult with traditional animation. The camera can travel around characters, rise above landscapes, move through forests, and follow objects through complicated spaces. The lantern sequence benefits enormously from this capability. The camera can move through a vast field of lanterns, creating a sense of three-dimensional depth. The audience is not simply watching lanterns from a fixed viewpoint. The camera becomes part of the environment. This type of movement contributes to the cinematic quality of Tangled. The film often feels like a live-action fantasy movie, even though every element is digitally constructed. The visual effects and animation also work closely with music. During musical sequences, camera movement, character animation, lighting, and environmental effects are coordinated with the rhythm of the song. This is particularly evident during the lantern scene. The glowing lanterns, water reflections, camera movements, and character performances work together to create an emotional climax. The technology is important, but it is ultimately being used to support storytelling point. One of the most impressive elements of Tangled is how the filmmakers avoid allowing CGI technology to dominate the movie. The goal was not to demonstrate how much computer graphics could accomplish. Instead, technology was used to reproduce the emotional qualities of traditional Disney animation. The characters retain exaggerated silhouettes and expressive faces. Environments are beautiful rather than strictly realistic. Lighting is designed to create mood rather than simply reproduce real-world illumination. Hair and cloth are simulated but can be artistically manipulated. This philosophy is particularly important because Tangled arrived during a period when Disney animation was increasingly focused on computer-generated filmmaking. The movie helped demonstrate that CGI could still retain the visual personality traditionally associated with Disney. The film's effects animation also contributes significantly to its atmosphere. Fire, smoke, dust, sparks, glowing magical elements, and other small effects help scenes feel alive. These details are usually subtle, but they add depth to the world. The magical hair itself also produces visual effects when its healing ability is activated. The golden glow becomes a visual representation of its supernatural power. The effect combines light, particles, color, and animation to distinguish the magical energy from ordinary illumination. The filmmakers also use color grading and compositing to unify the many digital elements. Characters, environments, effects, and lighting are rendered separately or in different stages and then combined into final images. Compositing allows artists to adjust brightness, color, atmospheric effects, depth, and visual emphasis. This process is particularly important in night scenes. The characters must remain visible without destroying the darkness of the environment. The lanterns need to be bright enough to create a magical atmosphere, but not so bright that they overwhelm the image. The final result is a carefully controlled visual hierarchy. The audience's attention is guided toward Rapunzel and Flynn, while the enormous environment remains visually impressive. Overall, the VFX and CGI work in Tangled represents a major achievement in computer animation. The film combines sophisticated technology with a deliberately stylized artistic approach. Rapunzel's 70-foot magical hair required specialized simulation and animation techniques. The Lantern Festival required large-scale procedural animation, dynamic lighting, reflections, and compositing. The water, cloth, vegetation, environments, facial expressions, and character movements all required specialized digital workflows. Yet the technical accomplishment of Tangled is not simply that it contains complicated CGI. Its greatest achievement is that the technology remains largely invisible to the audience. Viewers become emotionally invested in Rapunzel's story rather than thinking about how her hair was simulated or how thousands of lanterns were generated. That is the mark of effective visual effects in animation. The technology supports the storytelling instead of replacing it. The computer-generated environments create a believable fairy tale world. The hair becomes a meaningful part of Rapunzel's identity. The lanterns become a symbol of hope and family, and the lighting reinforces the emotional journey that in the end. Tangled demonstrates how CGI can combine technical precision with artistic exaggeration. Its characters are not photorealistic, its environments are not designed to look exactly like reality, and its physics are sometimes intentionally adjusted for storytelling. Nevertheless, everything feels internally believable within the movie's world. The film's visual style represents a successful meeting between Disney's traditional animation heritage and modern digital technology. Sophisticated hair simulation, cloth movement, water rendering, environmental modeling, facial animation, lighting, effects, camera systems, and compositing all work together to create the finished movie. The result is a visually rich fairy tale world in which the technology is used to strengthen character and emotion. Rapunzel's glowing hair symbolizes her magical identity. The tower visually represents her isolation. The expansive environments represent her newly discovered freedom. And the lanterns provide the film's most powerful visual expression of family and belonging. For that reason, Tangled remains an important milestone in Disney's CGI animation history. Its VFX and computer-generated imagery were technically sophisticated for their period, but their greatest success was artistic. They made a digital world feel warm, expressive, magical, and emotionally human. Released during a period when computer-generated animation was becoming the dominant format for major animated features, The film combined the traditional fairy tale identity of Disney with modern CGI animation, musical storytelling, comedy, romance, and adventure. Its financial performance was particularly significant because the production was extremely expensive for an animated movie of its period. Despite its large production cost, Tangled ultimately became a worldwide box office success and developed a strong life through DVD, Blu-ray, digital distribution, television, and later streaming. The film was released theatrically in the United States and Canada on November 24, 2010, during the Thanksgiving holiday period. This was an important release strategy because Thanksgiving and the Christmas season are traditionally strong periods for family-oriented movies. Disney positioned Tangled as a major holiday attraction, giving families an opportunity to see the movie together during the Thanksgiving weekend and throughout the Christmas season. The movie's release strategy was also significant because it represented a major investment by Disney. The production budget has commonly been reported at around $260 million, although estimates can vary depending on how production expenses are calculated. Whatever the exact accounting figure, Tangled was clearly one of the most expensive animated films ever made at the time. The large budget reflected years of development, extensive computer animation, complex character work, sophisticated rendering, elaborate environments, musical production, and the technical challenges involved in creating Rapunzel's extraordinarily long magical hair. Because of that large investment, the film needed to perform strongly not only in North America, but also internationally. Disney therefore gave Tangled a broad international theatrical rollout. The movie eventually played in numerous markets around the world, and its international performance became an important part of its overall financial success. That on its opening weekend in the United States and Canada, Tangled earned approximately $48.8 million. This was a strong result, although it did not immediately establish the film as an enormous record-breaking opening. The Thanksgiving holiday schedule meant that the movie benefited from additional weekday and holiday attendance beyond the conventional 3-day opening weekend. During its extended Thanksgiving opening period, the film performed well among families and younger audiences. The movie also faced competition from other major releases, but Disney's reputation in animation and the film's family-friendly appeal helped it maintain an audience over the following weeks. One of the most important factors in Tangled's box office performance was its long theatrical run. Unlike some movies that depend heavily on a huge opening weekend, Tangled benefited from steady attendance over the holiday season. Families who had not seen the film during Thanksgiving could watch it during December, and the Christmas vacation period provided another major opportunity for theatrical attendance. This pattern is especially valuable for animated films. A family movie can continue earning money for many weeks because parents and children often see it at different times. Word of mouth also becomes important. If audiences enjoy an animated movie, positive recommendations can encourage other families to see it. Tangled eventually earned approximately $592.5 million worldwide at the box office. Roughly $200.8 million came from the domestic market, while approximately $391.7 million came from international markets. These figures demonstrate that the movie's commercial success was not dependent solely on the North American audience. The international performance was particularly important because the film's worldwide earnings were nearly twice its domestic total. This reflects the growing importance of international markets to Hollywood animation. Disney's fairy tale storytelling could appeal to audiences across different countries because the themes of family, freedom, love, identity, and adventure are broadly accessible. The film's international appeal was also helped by its visual style and musical storytelling. Although the story is rooted in the European fairy tale tradition of Rapunzel, the characters and humor were designed to have broad international appeal. The movie did not rely heavily on culturally specific jokes that would be difficult to understand outside the United States. The success of Tangled was especially meaningful when considered alongside its enormous production cost. A film with a budget of roughly $260 million cannot be judged simply by comparing production costs with worldwide box office revenue. The theatrical gross does not represent the studio's actual profit because cinemas keep a portion of ticket revenue, and the studio also has to account for marketing, distribution, and other expenses. Nevertheless, Tangled clearly demonstrated strong commercial performance. Its theatrical revenue was followed by additional income from home entertainment, television licensing, merchandise, music, and later digital and streaming distribution. The movie's performance also helped strengthen Disney Animation's reputation during an important period. Before Tangled, Disney Animation had experienced a mixture of successes and disappointments during the transition from traditional animation to computer-generated filmmaking. Tangled showed that Disney could produce a major CGI animated fairy tale that appealed to both children and adults. The film's success was also connected to the strength of its characters. Rapunzel became an important Disney princess character, while Flynn Rider developed a large fan following. Pascal and Maximus also became recognizable supporting characters. These characters helped the movie's commercial life extend beyond the theatrical run. Another major factor was the movie's music. Songs such as When Will My Life Begin?, I've Got a Dream, I See the Light, and Mother Knows Best gave the movie an additional identity. I See the Light, in particular, became closely associated with the film's emotional climax and later received significant recognition. The soundtrack contributed to the film's long-term popularity because audiences could continue engaging with the music after leaving the cinema. Music sales, digital downloads, performances, and inclusion in Disney-related entertainment helped keep the movie culturally visible. Home media release. After its successful theatrical run, Tangled moved into the home entertainment market. Disney released the film on DVD and Blu-ray in March 2011 in the United States. The home media release was strategically important because Disney animated movies traditionally have significant value beyond theatrical exhibition. The Blu-ray release provided audiences with a higher quality version of the movie, taking advantage of the film's detailed CGI animation. High-definition presentation was particularly appropriate for Tangled because the movie contains intricate character models, elaborate environments, glowing lanterns, detailed textures, and sophisticated lighting. The home media package was offered in several formats, including Blu-ray and DVD combinations. Depending on the market and edition, consumers could purchase different versions containing combinations of Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy features. The release also included bonus material designed to appeal to Disney animation enthusiasts. Behind-the-scenes content was especially valuable because Tangled had a technically ambitious production. Viewers could learn more about the creation of the characters, animation process, music, story development, and visual design. One of the attractions of the home release was the opportunity to watch the movie repeatedly. Unlike theatrical exhibition, where viewers experience the movie once at a scheduled screening, home media allows audiences to revisit individual scenes, songs, and sequences. This was particularly useful for families. Animated movies often become repeat viewing titles for children, and Tangled had strong appeal in this market. The combination of comedy, music, romance, and adventure made it suitable for repeated viewing. The film also benefited from the growing transition from physical media to digital distribution. Around the time of its home media release, consumers were increasingly purchasing and renting movies digitally. Tangled was made available through digital platforms, allowing audiences to watch it without purchasing a physical disc. Digital distribution became increasingly important throughout the 2010s. Movies that had already completed their theatrical and DVD cycles could remain commercially available through digital rental and purchase. This extended Tangled's economic life beyond its initial release window. The home media market also allowed Disney to reach audiences who had not watched the film in theaters. Some families may have skipped the theatrical release because of scheduling, cost, or other reasons. A DVD, Blu-ray, or digital purchase offered a more convenient way to experience the movie. The strong reputation of Disney Animation also helped the home release. Consumers often view animated Disney films as long-term family entertainment rather than disposable theatrical experiences. Parents may purchase a Disney movie because they expect their children to watch it repeatedly over several years. Blu-ray and visual quality. The Blu-ray format was particularly suitable for Tangled. The movie's CGI environments contain many small visual details that benefit from high-definition presentation. The golden color of Rapunzel's hair, the textures of the kingdom, the forest environments, and especially the lantern sequence all become more visually impressive when presented in high definition. The lantern sequence is one of the best examples. In a theatrical setting, the scene creates an enormous visual spectacle, but high-definition home viewing allows audiences to examine the individual lanterns, reflections, lighting, and character animation more closely. The home media release therefore served not merely as another way of watching the film, but as an opportunity to appreciate its animation technology. Digital and later distribution. As the entertainment industry moved away from physical media, Tangled continued to circulate through digital services. Digital purchase and rental became increasingly normal for mainstream movies, and Disney's library was particularly valuable because of the company's enormous collection of family entertainment. Later, Disney's development of its own streaming ecosystem gave Tangled another important distribution channel. The movie became part of the company's broader digital library and could reach new generations of viewers who may never have encountered it during its original theatrical release. Streaming significantly changed the economic life of older movies. Instead of disappearing after their DVD sales declined, films could remain available to subscribers. For a popular animated title like Tangled, this meant that the movie could continue attracting viewers years after its original theatrical release. Merchandise and franchise value. The financial importance of Tangled extends beyond box office and home media revenue. Rapunzel became part of the Disney Princess brand, which gave the movie significant merchandising potential. Toys, dolls, clothing, books, games, costumes, and other products helped expand the commercial value of the film. Rapunzel's distinctive long hair, purple dress, and tower became recognizable visual symbols that could easily be adapted into merchandise. The characters also appeared in Disney-related attractions and entertainment. Rapunzel's popularity helped establish Tangled as more than a single animated film. It became part of Disney's broader character and franchise ecosystem. The movie's popularity also contributed to later Disney television projects and related storytelling. The characters continued to appear in additional forms of entertainment, helping maintain audience awareness. Long-term commercial impact. The long-term success of Tangled is perhaps more important than its opening weekend. The movie did not depend entirely on a massive initial theatrical debut. Instead, it developed through sustained theatrical attendance, international audiences, home media sales, digital availability, merchandising, and continued popularity. This is a common pattern for successful animated films. Children who watched Tangled in 2010 could later introduce it to younger siblings or their own children. The film therefore gained a generational quality. The movie also benefited from Disney's continuing promotion of Rapunzel as a Disney princess. This created an audience beyond people who had originally gone to see the movie. The commercial performance of Tangled also helped demonstrate that Disney could successfully combine CGI technology with traditional fairy tale storytelling. This was important for the studio's future development. The film's success was followed by a broader expansion of Disney's computer-animated storytelling. Although Tangled was not the first Disney CGI feature, its performance helped establish confidence in the studio's ability to create major animated blockbusters using this format. The importance of the holiday release. The Thanksgiving release date deserves special attention because timing can have a major effect on box office performance. Tangled entered theaters at a moment when families were actively looking for holiday entertainment. The Thanksgiving period gives films an opportunity to earn money over several consecutive weeks. Children are out of school, families travel, and audiences have more leisure time. A movie released during this period can benefit from repeated family attendance. Disney's choice of Thanksgiving also placed the film in the broader holiday movie market. Instead of depending on one weekend, Tangled had access to the entire Christmas and New Year period. Its eventual worldwide total demonstrates that the strategy worked. Box office versus production cost. It is important to distinguish between gross revenue and profit when discussing Tangled. A worldwide box office total of roughly $592 million does not mean Disney received that entire amount. Theater owners retain a portion of ticket sales, and the studio had substantial marketing and distribution expenses. Furthermore, the film's reported production budget was unusually high. If the approximately $260 million figure is used, the movie needed substantial additional revenue streams beyond theatrical ticket sales to produce an attractive overall return. This is why home entertainment, merchandise, music, television rights, digital distribution, and other licensing opportunities were important. The movie's long-term commercial performance, therefore, cannot be judged from the theatrical gross alone. Overall assessment, Tangled ultimately became a major commercial success and an important title in Disney Animation's modern history. Its approximately $592.5 million worldwide theatrical gross demonstrated strong global audience interest, while its roughly $200.8 million domestic and $391.7 million international earnings showed particularly strong performance outside North America. The film's release during Thanksgiving 2010 gave it access to a valuable holiday audience, and its long theatrical run helped it build momentum. Rather than depending entirely on a record-breaking opening weekend, Tangled benefited from sustained family attendance and strong international interest. Its transition to DVD and Blu-ray in 2011 expanded the movie's audience and gave Disney another major source of revenue. High-definition home presentation was particularly appropriate for the film's detailed CGI animation and spectacular lantern sequence. Digital distribution then allowed the movie to remain commercially available as consumer habits changed. Over time, Tangled became more than a successful theatrical film. Rapunzel became an important Disney princess, and the movie generated additional value through merchandise, music, television, digital distribution, and continued home viewing. The movie's financial story is therefore one of long-term commercial durability rather than simply opening weekend success. Its theatrical performance established a strong foundation, while home media and later digital distribution extended its life. Today, Tangled is remembered not only as a successful Disney animated movie, but also as an important step in the studio's transition towards sophisticated CGI filmmaking. Its financial performance helped validate the investment Disney had made in the production, while its continued popularity demonstrated the lasting strength of the characters and story. The movie's journey from a major Thanksgiving theatrical release to Blu-ray, DVD, digital platforms, streaming, merchandise, and Disney Princess branding illustrates how a modern animated film can generate value for many years after its original cinema release. Tangled therefore represents a particularly successful example of Disney's broader entertainment model, where theatrical performance is only the beginning of a movie's commercial life. Nathan Greno served as one of the two directors of Tangled. He was already an experienced member of Disney Animation before taking on the project. Greno had worked in story and animation-related roles on earlier Disney productions, giving him an understanding of both character storytelling and the studio's traditional approach to animated filmmaking. His involvement in Tangled was important because the movie required a careful balance between traditional Disney elements and a contemporary storytelling style. Rapunzel is based on a classic fairy tale character, but the version presented in Tangled is much more energetic, humorous, and independent than many traditional interpretations. Greno worked closely with Byron Howard to establish the movie's tone. The two directors wanted the film to feel like a classic Disney fairy tale while avoiding the impression that it was simply repeating stories from the past. Their approach was to retain familiar ingredients: princesses, castles, romance, magic, villains, songs, and adventure, while giving the characters more modern personalities. One of Greno's important contributions was helping develop the film's comedic rhythm. Tangled frequently moves between emotional scenes and physical comedy. Rapunzel can be having a serious emotional conversation and then suddenly become involved in a ridiculous situation involving her hair, Flynn, Pascal, or Maximus. This mixture of tones requires precise direction. If the comedy were too dominant, the emotional scenes would lose their impact. If the movie were too serious, the playful energy that makes Rapunzel appealing would disappear. Greno and Howard therefore had to maintain a careful balance. Byron Howard was the second director of Tangled. He had previously worked as an animator and director at Disney and brought substantial experience in character-driven animation to the project. Howard's background was especially useful for Tangled because the movie depends heavily on expressive characters. Rapunzel, Flynn Rider, Mother Got Hell, Maximus, and Pascal all have distinct personalities, and much of the film's humor comes from their reactions to one another. Howard later became known for directing other successful animated films, but Tangled represents an important stage in his development as a major Disney director. His approach to animation emphasizes personality. Characters should not merely move correctly. they should appear to have individual ways of thinking and reacting. This principle can be seen throughout Tangled. Maximus is a particularly strong example. He is a horse, but he behaves almost like a determined detective. He can stare at Flynn with suspicion, chase him relentlessly, and react to situations with exaggerated seriousness. Howard helped shape this kind of character-based comedy. Working as a directing team, the collaboration between Grino and Howard was central to the film. Co-directing an animated feature is a complicated process because animation requires years of planning, storyboarding, character development, voice recording, visual design, technical production, and editing. The directors must maintain a consistent creative vision throughout all these stages. They work with story artists, animators, production designers, visual effects artists, composers, voice actors, and editors. For Tangled, Grino and Howard had to determine what kind of fairy tale the movie should become. The original Rapunzel story is relatively simple. A young woman is imprisoned in a tower, a prince discovers her, and she eventually escapes. The filmmakers expanded this into a much larger adventure. They introduced Flynn Rider as a more complicated romantic lead, transformed the prince concept into a thief, created Maximus and Pascal as major comic characters, and expanded the world beyond the tower. The directors also made the kingdom itself more important. Rapunzel's journey is not merely an escape from captivity. It is a discovery of the world she has been denied. Dan Fogelman, writer. The screenplay for Tangled was written by Dan Fogelman, whose work was essential to the film's modern tone. Fogelman's screenplay helped transform Rapunzel from a passive fairy tale character into an active protagonist. Traditional versions of the story often focus on the princess being trapped and eventually rescued. In Tangled, Rapunzel becomes the person who makes decisions and drives the plot. This is one of the most important changes in the adaptation. Rapunzel wants to see the floating lanterns. She decides to leave the tower. She negotiates with Flynn. She chooses to explore the world. She discovers her identity. She confronts Hell. Her decisions move the story forward. This makes the movie a coming-of-age story as much as a fairy tale. Modernizing Rapunzel. Fogelman's writing gives Rapunzel a personality that contemporary audiences can easily understand. She is curious, creative, optimistic, insecure, stubborn, and occasionally impulsive. One of the most effective writing choices is the way Rapunzel experiences conflicting emotions after leaving the tower. She is thrilled to be outside, but immediately feels guilty for disobeying Hell. This is both funny and psychologically believable. The conflict reflects the reality of someone who has been controlled for many years. Rapunzel has technically gained freedom, but she still carries the emotional conditioning imposed upon her. Fogelman's screenplay allows this conflict to develop gradually instead of resolving it instantly. Flynn Rider. Another major writing achievement is Flynn Rider. Rather than making Rapunzel's romantic partner a traditional heroic prince, the screenplay turns him into a thief. Flynn begins the movie as a selfish, arrogant, and sarcastic character who is primarily interested in his own survival. This creates an interesting contrast with Rapunzel. Rapunzel has spent her entire life isolated from the world, but has an optimistic attitude toward other people. Flynn has experienced more of the world, but initially trusts almost nobody. Their relationship, therefore, allows both characters to change. Rapunzel learns to become more confident and independent, while Flynn learns that genuine relationships require honesty and sacrifice. The screenplay gradually moves Flynn away from his false identity. His real name, Eugene Fitzherbert, reveals that Flynn Rider is partly a persona he created to escape the insecurity of his childhood. This gives the character greater emotional depth. Mother Got Hell. Fogelman's treatment of Mother Got Hell is also particularly effective. Got Hell is not written as a villain who constantly announces her evil intentions. Instead, she manipulates Rapunzel through emotional control. She claims to be protecting Rapunzel from the outside world, but her real motivation is preserving her own youth through Rapunzel's magical hair. Music and storytelling. The screenplay was also designed around musical storytelling. Songs are not simply inserted between scenes. They help reveal character. When Will My Life Begin establishes Rapunzel's life inside the tower and her desire for something more. I've Got a Dream gives the tavern criminals unexpected emotional depth. I See the Light represents the emotional transformation of Rapunzel and Flynn's relationship. Mother Knows Best exposes Gothel's manipulation. The directors and writer had to make sure these musical moments fit naturally into the narrative. Visual storytelling. Although Greenough, Howard, and Fogelman were responsible for different aspects of the production, their work was closely connected to the movie's visual storytelling. The screenplay establishes situations that can be expressed visually. Rapunzel's hair becomes both a practical tool and a recurring source of comedy. Maximus communicates much of his personality without speaking. The lanterns create a massive visual climax. The directors then translate those ideas into animation. This is one of the fundamental differences between writing for animation and writing for live action. In animation, almost every element can be designed from scratch. A writer can create situations involving a 70-foot magical hairstyle or a horse behaving like a police detective, and the animation team can build the visuals needed to make those ideas work. Collaboration with the animation team. Greenough and Howard's role extended beyond deciding how scenes should look. They worked closely with storyboard artists and animators to refine the film. Animated movies go through extensive changes during production. Scenes can be rewritten, removed, reordered, or redesigned. Characters may behave differently after test screenings or internal evaluations. The directors therefore function as creative leaders throughout the entire process. Their responsibility includes maintaining the story's emotional logic while allowing artists to contribute ideas. Tangled has many sequences where visual comedy and character acting are as important as the written dialogue. The directors needed to ensure that these moments supported the larger narrative rather than becoming distractions. Rapunzel's character arc. The directors and writer also had to maintain Rapunzel's character development across the entire movie. At the beginning, she is sheltered and dependent on Gothel. By the middle, she is exploring the outside world and learning to make decisions. By the end, she understands her true identity and rejects Gothel's control. This progression gives the movie its emotional structure. Importantly, Rapunzel does not become a completely different person. Her optimism and curiosity remain intact. What changes is her confidence. She learns that her curiosity is not a weakness and that wanting to experience the world does not make her selfish. Flynn's character arc. Flynn's development mirrors Rapunzel's, that he begins as someone who wants to avoid emotional responsibility. He has created a glamorous identity to hide his insecurity. Through his relationship with Rapunzel, he discovers that being vulnerable is not the same as being weak. His eventual willingness to sacrifice himself for Rapunzel represents the completion of his transformation. This parallel structure is one of the strengths of the screenplay. The film's tone. One of the most difficult directorial challenges was establishing the correct tone. Tangled contains kidnapping, manipulation, danger, violence, romance, comedy, musical numbers, and family drama. Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi are particularly important because their performances create the emotional center of the film. Their characters begin the story as strangers who need something from each other. Rapunzel wants freedom and adventure, while Flynn wants his stolen property. Gradually, their relationship becomes based on trust rather than necessity. The actors' performances make that transition believable. Moore allows Rapunzel to remain emotionally open, while Levi gives Flynn a defensive layer that gradually disappears. Their conversations become less about escaping the immediate situation and more about understanding each other. Donna Murphy provides the opposite emotional force. Gothel does not want Rapunzel to become independent. Her entire relationship with Rapunzel is based on maintaining control. Murphy's performance makes that conflict personal because Gothel can sound genuinely affectionate even while manipulating her. This makes the eventual confrontation more powerful. Rapunzel is not simply escaping from a villain she barely knows. She is rejecting the worldview imposed upon her by the person she believed was her mother. The supporting cast ensures that the movie never becomes too heavy. Characters such as Hook Hand, Big Nose, Shorty, Vlad, the captain, and the animal companions constantly bring humor into the story. Their performances prevent the darker themes of kidnapping, emotional manipulation, and isolation from overwhelming the film's adventurous tone. The casting also helps Tangled achieve a balance between traditional Disney storytelling and modern comedy. The actors do not treat the characters as purely fairy tale figures. They give them contemporary personalities, comic timing, and recognizable emotional reactions. Ultimately, the cast of Tangled works because every major performer contributes something different to the film's tone. Mandy Moore provides Rapunzel with warmth, curiosity, vulnerability, courage, and a strong singing voice. Zachary Levi gives Flynn writer charm, humor, confidence, and emotional growth. Donna Murphy turns Mother Got Hell into a memorable villain whose sweetness and cruelty constantly compete with each other. The supporting performers add personality and comic energy. Ron Perlman gives the Stabbington brother a threatening presence. MC Gainey makes the captain authoritative and funny. Jeffrey Tambor brings warmth and comedy to Big Nose. Brad Garrett makes Hook Hand memorable. Paul F. Tompkins gives Shorty his eccentric personality, and Richard Kiel adds a distinctive presence to Vlad. Pascal and Maximus, despite their lack of conventional dialogue, demonstrate how much can be communicated through animation, timing, facial expressions, and physical behavior. Their performances are essential to the film's humor and emotional appeal. Together, the cast creates a world in which characters are allowed to be funny, vulnerable, frightening, affectionate, and ridiculous. That variety is one of the reasons Tangled remains so entertaining. The actors do not merely provide voices for animated drawings. They give the characters individual identities that audiences can recognize immediately. In the end, the greatest achievement of the Tangled cast is that the characters feel emotionally alive. Rapunzel's excitement, Flynn's insecurity, Gothel's manipulation, Maximus's determination, Pascal's loyalty, and the tavern character's unexpected dreams all contribute to a story that is much richer than a simple fairy tale adaptation. The performances give the movie its humor and emotional foundation, while the animation transforms those vocal performances into memorable visual personalities. Tangled succeeds because its cast understands that animated acting requires more than simply reading dialogue. Every pause, laugh, musical phrase, change in tone, and emotional reaction becomes part of the character's identity. Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi especially create a convincing central relationship, while Donna Murphy provides a powerful antagonist, and the supporting cast fills the world with memorable personalities. Together, their work makes Tangled one of Disney's strongest character-driven animated adventures of its era. Although the movie is often described simply as a CGI animated fairy tale, its visual development involved much more than creating three-dimensional characters and environments. The filmmakers deliberately combined the visual language of classic Disney animation with modern computer graphics, creating a film that looks digitally produced while still retaining the warmth, exaggeration, color, lighting, and expressive character design associated with traditional Disney films. The film was directed by Nathan Greno and Byron Howard, with animation and visual development teams working for several years to establish its distinctive appearance. The technical challenge was particularly significant because Tangled contains complicated elements such as Rapunzel's extremely long magical hair, realistic water, large environments, hundreds of floating lanterns, detailed cloth and character movement, atmospheric lighting, and elaborate camera movements. These elements required sophisticated computer-generated techniques while still maintaining the charm and readability of hand-drawn animation. One of the most famous technical achievements in Tangled is Rapunzel's hair. Her hair is approximately 70 feet long in the story, making it one of the most difficult visual elements to create. A real strand of hair behaves in an extremely complicated way, bending, twisting, colliding with other strands, reacting to movement, and responding to gravity. Creating this behavior for a 70-foot animated hairstyle was far more complicated than simply modeling a long object and attaching it to Rapunzel's head. The filmmakers developed specialized systems to control Rapunzel's hair. The hair had to appear physically believable while still behaving according to the needs of animation. If it were simulated completely realistically, it could become difficult to control and might move in ways that distracted the audience. Therefore, the artists needed a balance between physical simulation and artistic direction. Rapunzel's hair is essentially treated as a flexible, dynamic structure. The animators could pose and manipulate it while computer systems helped maintain believable movement. The hair needed to react when Rapunzel walked, jumped, swung, or used it as a rope. It also needed to interact with other characters and objects. One of the major difficulties was preventing the hair from penetrating through Rapunzel's body or surrounding objects. Collision detection was therefore extremely important. When the hair wrapped around something, the computer system had to calculate how it would bend and where it should remain. Artists could then adjust the results to make the movement more visually appealing. The hair also had to communicate emotion. In traditional animation, artists can exaggerate a character's hair to make a pose more expressive. Tangled brings that principle into CGI. Rapunzel's hair is not merely a physical object. It becomes part of her character. It can swing dramatically, wrap around objects, create comic situations, and visually emphasize her movements. Another major CGI challenge was Rapunzel's hair texture. A long mass of golden hair could easily appear like plastic or a solid rope if the surface shading were not carefully designed. The artist therefore worked to create variations in color, highlights, shadows, and translucency. Individual strands do not need to be visible separately in every shot, but the combined effect needed to suggest thousands of fine hairs. Lighting was particularly important. Blonde hair reflects light strongly, and the filmmakers wanted Rapunzel's hair to appear almost luminous when exposed to sunlight. This was especially useful because the magical properties of her hair are central to the story. The lighting system used for Tangled was another major part of its visual identity. Rather than using realistic lighting alone, the filmmakers designed lighting to create a storybook atmosphere. Warm golden colors dominate many scenes, particularly those involving Rapunzel's magical hair and the Lantern Festival. The film uses strong contrasts between warm and cool environments. The tower and forest can sometimes appear mysterious or shadowy, while the kingdom and lantern sequences are filled with warm orange, gold, and amber tones. This color strategy helps communicate emotional changes. The famous lantern sequence is arguably the movie's most recognizable visual achievement. Thousands of glowing lanterns fill the night sky and reflect across the water. Creating this effect required computer graphics, procedural systems, lighting, compositing, and careful artistic direction. Each lantern is a small glowing object, but when thousands are visible simultaneously, the computer must manage enormous amounts of geometry, light, and animation. The filmmakers had to make the lanterns look individually recognizable while also creating a unified visual field. The lanterns also need to move naturally. They rise through the air at different speeds, drift slightly, and create an impression of depth. If every lantern moved identically, the effect would look artificial. Instead, variations in movement, spacing, brightness, and position create a more organic appearance. The lighting from the lanterns was also crucial. Their warm glow illuminates nearby characters and environments. This means the lanterns are not simply bright dots composited into the scene. Their light contributes to the overall atmosphere.